Hello, this is Craig Mertens, Director of Product Education for Inktavo, the parent company of GraphicsFlow, InkSoft, and Printavo. The presentation you're about to watch is a recorded version of the education that we provided at the Graphics Pro Expo. So if you weren't able to attend the live event, or if you did attend the live event and would just like to review the information, this recording is for you. So let's get started. The topic of the class is let technology do the work using software to grow your business. So I put together a visual kind of to illustrate the point of why technology is important. So here's the proverbial horse and buggy, and here's the new convertible electronic Audi pickup truck. Yes, this converts into a pickup truck. So there's a big difference in terms of how you get around. You're still going to get from point A to point B, but you're obviously going to get there a lot faster in the new Audi. So adopting technology to improve productivity, provide an e-commerce solution, and streamlining the graphics creation process will enhance operational efficiency. So obviously, if you can be more efficient, you can also reduce your production costs. You can decrease the lead time on fulfillment on orders, so that expands your capacity, so you're able to scale and expand your market reach. So if you have excess time because you've adopted technology that's helping to streamline your workflow, you can reinvest that time in reaching out beyond your local area, so you can expand your reach into new markets as well as outside of your local area. Improve the customer experience. And in today's marketplace, if you don't make it easy for people to buy from you, they can certainly purchase from other folks. It's very competitive in the marketplace. And I've seen our most successful clients really focus on that customer experience, making it easy for people to purchase. Reduce customer turnover. Acquisition costs for new clients are very expensive. If you can preserve your existing customer, it's a lot better than trying to generate new customers all the time. And I've seen some studies that say 80% of your business is going to come from 20% of your existing customers. So that's very important. And achieve sustainable growth in a competitive industry. Let's face it, the industry is very competitive. And the folks that tend to lead the industry are all companies that have adopted technology. The first category of technology we're going to talk about is graphics management software. And what you see on the right, this is a screen capture from the GraphicsFlow web app. That's one of the three products in the Inktavo product. And this is our graphics management software. And in the screen capture, you can clearly see stock designs that can be edited in the cloud. It's a very powerful tool for doing art approvals, for storing your artwork, interacting with your clients. So every shop, doesn't matter who you are, is getting screen captures where clients have gone to websites and screen captured something from Custom Ink or one of the other popular sites, and they provide this to you, and they basically say, hey, listen, can you do something like this or something exactly like that? And you have increased development costs when you're reproducing that artwork. You also have some copyright issues. It decreases your turnaround time. It's a very inefficient way of doing business and collaborating with customers on art. So having a library of designs to pull from makes collaborating with customers easier. And one of the things that I've learned is if you can get engaged in a collaboration process with your customer, you're more likely to close a deal. And you're also going to keep customers. People start to rely on you as a creative resource. You're also empowering everyone on your team to create graphics with our simple in-app editor. And what I mean by that, in the GraphicsFlow platform, which you're going to see in a little bit, you don't have to have a professional graphics software to produce graphics in GraphicsFlow. You can do it right in the app, and the net result is going to be a production-ready file that can go straight to your supplier or to your production team. So you don't have to be necessarily reliant on a graphic design team to produce high-quality graphics. Quicker art approvals allow your shop to focus on printing so you can get more merch out the door. So one of the important aspects of any graphics management software is art approvals. And I always like to joke, if you don't have an art approval process, that's great for your local goodwill. And we used to always say in our printing business is that, proof twice, print once. So getting it right the first time is an important part of any kind of technology for graphics management. Speeding up the sales process with a tool that lets your sales team present graphics quickly and easily. So not having to necessarily involve the art department. If a customer has very specific graphic needs and we need to get ideas in front of them, a tool that allows your sales team to project graphics to the client. They can choose from a graphics, narrow down the scope of what they're looking for. And then at that point, the sales team member can either do the modifications themselves or they can interact with your art department. But that starting point that accelerates the sales process is very important. and staying on trend with designs that are retail inspired and built with current trends in mind. So art trends and graphics, they move around. There are some classic things, like classic athletic type look, that's not going anywhere, but there's always new trends in colors and in fonts and in style. And being able to stay in tune with those trends is very important, because that's what your customers are expecting. And that's also one of the reasons they're going online to screen capture graphics from other sites, because they see something they connect with and they want that. And so one of the things that's really unique about GraphicsFlow is we have a very good research and development process where our design team members actually go out and do that research for you. So we see what's on trend every single month, and we produce new graphics every month so that you're always on trend with retail inspired graphics. So they're seeing graphics that look like what they're seeing in the stores, and also what they're seeing on the sidelines of the athletic teams or social media influencers. And then one of the other things that's important, in my opinion, is creating an interactive showcase of your designs that you can share with prospects and existing customers. So one of the best collaboration tools that you have in terms of artwork is work you've done for other customers. So if you can collate that artwork into collections by, say, theme, here's my best sports designs, here's my best small business designs, here's designs for first responders or military or faith-based designs, and you can upload those graphics to a technology that'll create previews, and that will also create a gallery where your customers can comment on those graphics and select graphics. That's a huge benefit to both your customers and to your business. And that's one of the things that GraphicsFlow will do. I'd like to talk a little bit about how buyers select graphics. So in my opinion, there's 4 major methods for art selection. Number 1 is the decorator asks the buyer to go online and they find something and they come back to you, and then you're forensically recreating that artwork. You have all the additional overhead in getting that produced and the time delay and things of that nature. So that's not necessarily the most optimum way of doing it. The buyer already has graphics they've developed, so their marketing team has developed the graphics, or they just have a simple logo. That's very easy artwork to process, provided you get production-ready files, but you rarely get production-ready files, so there's always going to be some involvement from a graphic designer to get that artwork prepared for your production process. And also in the case of logos, if all you're doing is producing what we call logos on stuff, that commoditizes that business. And so they can certainly get quotes from other people, and you get buyer changeover, and a new, younger, savvier buyer goes out and gets quotes online. And, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to convince them that you're providing them with better quality or better service. All they're going to see is the price. So there is certainly some concentration risks there when you've built your business on just producing customer supplied artwork. And I had interesting experience at the trade show. I had a customer come up to me and say, 95% of my customers bring me the artwork. And I clearly stated the customer, I wasn't trying to be adversarial, but I said, hey, they don't think of you as a creative resource. So when they need creative artwork done, they're going to somebody else. And he had kind of a bit of an epiphany there. And he goes, you're probably right. And so now he's a customer. So that was kind of exciting. So the decorator must produce a custom graphic. This is going to be the least profitable job that you do in your business. If you're honest with yourself about the amount of time it takes to develop custom graphics, most shops are going to value their design time somewhere between $25 and $75 an hour. So let's call it $50 an hour. If you have 3 hours in art development time for an order that's going to bill out at $300 or $400, you're actually losing money on that. So custom graphics need to be reserved for times where you have, larger minimum order quantities where you can cover the development costs, or there's reorder potential. But doing one-off orders with a lot of custom art development, I think it's on its surface, it's not a great idea. And we want to try to provide alternatives, because unfortunately your customers don't understand where graphics come from, and they just think they magically appear, right? And then the 4th method is buyers select from stock designs that can be easily customized. This isn't a new thing for us. The predecessor company to GraphicsFlow is a company called Digital Art Solutions that I founded with my sister, Nicole. And we built an entire business on what we call stock art content, things like fonts and clip art and design templates. And people found a better way, a more efficient way of interacting with their clients and graphics. That company, Digital Art Solutions, was purchased by InkSoft Corporation, and that ended up becoming rebranded as GraphicsFlow. We moved everything into the cloud, and now we're part of the Inktavo family. So 4 basic methodologies. Buyer goes online and finds something. They already have graphics. You have to produce something custom, or you're choosing from stock designs. Let's dig a little bit deeper into customizable stock design. So what you see on the right is a stock design, family reunion design. And the screen grab is actually of something called the stock customizer in the GraphicsFlow platform. So the GraphicsFlow platform has the ability to natively edit files that were created in CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator with all the same types of effects and visual appearance that you would use in a professional graphics program. So the advantages of promoting customizable stock graphics: you control the sales process. When customers go online and they find their own artwork, they also find other suppliers. So we're almost inviting them to find one of our competitors. So controlling that sales process and saying, hey, here's some designs to choose from. If you don't find something you can connect with, we have a huge library of artwork that I can send you up to what we call our art portal, and you can select a design and we'll customize it. But let me send over a few designs for you to review that I feel like are kind of in the genre of what you're looking for in terms of both subject matter and style. So controlling the sales process is very important. Reducing art development costs. It was interesting. I had a client, he was a graphic designer. It was a husband and wife team, and I demoed his wife, and she said, hey, you have to convince my husband to do this, but he's our designer. And I was a little apprehensive, but I had a meeting with the husband, and he was very receptive to what we were doing because he recognized that all this custom art that he was doing from these small orders, they were losing money, and they had a lot of business. They're trying to grow, and they were contemplating bringing on an additional employee. And when I shared with him, I said, I don't think you have to bring on an additional employee. I think you just need to be more efficient. And I showed him what we were doing with our technology. And one of the recommendations I made to him was that he curates all the artwork that he already had and uploads it into his GraphicsFlow account and creates some galleries of specific art so he can get those ideas over to customers. And what was kind of gratifying about that, I talked to him a few weeks later, and he'd done just that. He said, this is transformational. I've completely changed the way I do business. I only have to do that custom artwork where it makes sense. And, I think that's where one of the key benefits of stock designs. Also, establishing value for your creative services. Clients learn to lean on you for ideas. You want them coming to you when they have an idea. And if they come to you, then you're in a position to put them into products that might even exceed the scope of what you're doing internally. Like, for instance, they come to you, they have an event, maybe it's a family reunion, and they're like, hey, listen, I need to get some banners done. And you can easily outsource banners through a third-party vendor and just mark it up and sell them the banners. You don't even have to do the production, but you're controlling the whole event, all the products that are part of that. And that creative services that you're offering to them is certainly providing them a good reason to retain, for them to stick with you as a customer for retention purposes, if that makes sense. So make it easier for clients to buy from you, and shuts out the competition. I had a client that was interesting. She called me up. She was an older customer, and she had some products from Digital Art Solutions. And she called me up and says, hey, I need to sign up for GraphicsFlow. And I was like, I talked to you about this in the past, and you just really kind of shot down this idea of, a cloud-based system. And she said, I asked her, I said, what's changed? She goes, well, one of your customers has that art portal, and they've been sending my customers the art portal, and all of a sudden all this business is disappearing, and I need to be competitive. And it wasn't the intention for us to do that, but given the choice, it's just easier for the customer to buy when they can go to a library of thousands of stock designs and pick out a design and literally have somebody get a customized version of that design in front of them in a few minutes. It's a pretty big deal. Ensure that graphics are production ready. And that's the one thing that your customers never think about. They don't think about what it takes to get that graphic into a format that's going to work for your production process, whether it's color separating it for screen printing or getting it vectorized so you can scale it up or down, or color correcting it for a digital transfer process or sublimation. They don't have any clue as to what that is. And if you choose a graphic from a stock collection that's already production ready, you can just bypass that whole process. And also eliminating potential copyright issues. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that, but one of the things that I always say is it's all fun and games until you get the letter from the copyright holder. So being able to responsibly use artwork that you have a license to reproduce certainly eliminates the potential of running into copyright issues, and reduces production time. You can respond quickly. So a good example of that is if you have a local high school team that by some quirk happened to unexpectedly make it to the state championship and won, you can respond very quickly with some championship designs because you don't have to create anything from scratch. You can just take a stock design, customize it real quick, get it in front of the customer, and start printing. I'm going to walk you through a typical workflow using the stock art customizer in GraphicsFlow. And so GraphicsFlow is a web app, so it can be utilized on a phone, tablet, Windows, Mac, doesn't make any difference. as long as you have a browser and a web connection, you can access GraphicsFlow. And so when you first log in, you're going to see what we call design ideas. Design ideas are interactive designs that you can use as the basis of creating a new design. And what's important with design ideas is looking at the style, not so much the subject matter or even the colors, because any design can be easily adapted. And internally, if you're just looking for graphics internally within the app just to produce yourself and not customer facing, you can search by just a huge array of variables, including if you just want to look for a patch, or if you want to drill that down and say look for a lacrosse patch, you can do that. Or if you just want to look for lacrosse in general. And so if you want to edit one of these designs, you can just simply click on it, click on the little customize button, and start editing. And we're going to come back to this in a little bit. So the next thing you'll see in the app is what we call clip art. We're the company that actually invented production-ready clip art for the decorated apparel industry almost 30 years ago when we were Digital Art Solutions. We know a little bit about that. And having a file that's already set up for vinyl or color separated for screen printing or in layers, it's very easy to edit, is super important. And one of the neat things you can do is you can actually edit the file before you even download it. So if I wanted to download this file and maybe incorporate this into a graphic I'm building out in Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW or Affinity Designer or even Inkscape, if I click on this design, I can just say customize right here, and I can recolor it before I even download it. So we'll just make that navy, hit apply, save it, and then download it either as a CDR, PNG, or vector PDF file. And the third area that you're going to see is fonts. So good templates require good fonts. We're Font Foundry. We've been producing fonts for close to 30 years. A lot of the very popular athletic fonts that you'll see in our industry came from fonts that we developed, like our game day fonts or our sports scripts, or something that's really popular right now is all these what I call sloppy scripts, but they look like handwritten fonts. A lot of times it's just a simple piece of clip art or just text. We have literally hundreds of fonts that are in this genre. So fonts, clip art, and design ideas. And we kind of joke around a little bit. When you sign up for a GraphicsFlow account, your sign-on bonus is downloading all 560 fonts from the GraphicsFlow platform and installing them so they're available to all your programs. And then we also have a section here that we call My Art, and this is where we store our art. And when you upload files to GraphicsFlow, it doesn't matter what format they are, could be an Adobe Illustrator file, or an embroidery DST file, or an SVG. Doesn't matter. We're going to create high resolution previews of all those files. Anyone on your team can go into their account and download the file as needed. And also you can just select it and add it to an art approval and send it over to a client to take a look at. So if you had a customer that was interested in something very specific, you could just send them a group of files or a singular file for them to review, comment, and possibly approve. So the other thing that we have is what we call Art Portal, and that's where we're going to start this project. We're going to start this project with Art Portal, and the Art Portal is something that you can embed into your website, or in this case, this is just a generic Art Portal. Actually have this portal redirected to my domain, craigmertens.com, but you can also embed it into a website, and so it's seamless. And so if the customer was, say, looking for a softball design, and they came in here and typed in softball, and they found a design they connected with, they can simply click on the design, put notes in on what they want. Can you change this to Cougars 2023 red and navy? And so they'll put their comment in here, they'll submit it, and we're not asking them to design it themselves. And the reason we don't want them to design it themselves is then they can, take it to another vendor, and we certainly don't want them taking it to another vendor. We want them coming through us. And two basic use cases for this. Use case number one is it's just kind of some random person that found you through Google, through SEO, and they say, hey, listen, this company's got a sophisticated art capability. Maybe they can put something together for me. And in that kind of a situation, you can certainly forward that onto your sales department. They can interact with your sales team, and you have a lead, and hopefully you can close it. The other option is you're sending your clients to your portal, and you're saying, hey, listen, go to our portal and pick out your design for your project. And it's really important that when you do that, you give them some direction and say, hey, listen, we're not fixated on, like the copy or the colors. Just find a graphic that you connect with, like the style, and we'll work our little magic and we'll make it into something really special for you. So once the end user submits the design or designs or clip art or fonts for customization, in your GraphicsFlow account, it's going to show up as a design request, and you're going to get an email saying, hey, there's a new design request, and they're going to get an email saying, hey, somebody's going to follow up with you. So if I go over here to design requests now, I'm going to see a design request that came in. It has all the notes right here. I can assign this to a sales team member or a graphic designer, or possibly even to myself. And any notes that I put in here are going to be emailed and notified to the other person, provided they have a login. So in order to show up in the list, you have to have a login. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the notes and I'm going to edit the design. So I'm just going to go over here and say, edit, click on the file name. I'm going to say customize. And the first thing I'm going to do is change the copy. This file was originally created in Adobe Illustrator, so it has a multi-layer text effect. So I'm going to go over here, change layer 1 to Cougars, change layer 2 to Cougars. I'm going to change 20XX to 23. I can change the fonts. I can change all of the colors, reposition things, get rid of things. If I didn't want to have the ribbon, I could lose the ribbon, although I think the ribbon looks good. So I'm going to turn that back on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out the clip art. I like the softball, I think it looks good, but we need to have a cougar there as opposed to an eagle. So I'm going to say replace. I'm just going to type in cougar. I'm going to find a cougar that I connect with. And I like to find one that has kind of that, you know, more or less that pro sports theme, so to speak. So that's what we're looking for. So let's scroll down. And there's kind of a pro sports looking cougar. I always like that cougar. It looks like a helmet decal. So I'm just going to click on it, and I can reposition it or resize it, but it is going to replace the existing clip art in the same size and position. Makes it real easy. Then I'm going to hit apply, and a little pro tip is consolidating the colors in the clip art with the template before we recolor the template. So I'm going to take this brownish color here, and I'm going to recolor it to a color that's already in the design template, and hit apply. I'm going to turn this to white, hit apply. I'm going to turn this color to white, hit apply, and then I'm going to view all my layers, and I can see that the colors that are still in use in my design are white, this burgundy, this bright gold, and this old gold. So what I want to do is I want to take this color right here, and I want to recolor this color right here to I think I'm going to do that in red, so we'll make that red. Hit apply. See how that looks. Looks pretty good. And then this color right here, we're going to try that in navy. We'll see if we like it. We might not like it, but we're going to find out here in a second. So we're going to change that to navy. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is this gold right here, I'm going to turn that back to, I think I'm going to turn that back to white as well. It looks good. And then over here where we've got the outlines over here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of individually change the colors over here. And I think what I'd like to do is change the outline here to actually change that to, I'm going to change this to navy right there. There we go. And then I'm going to change the red to white. Now we're talking. And then let's go over here to the other layer and change this to red. Here's all the colors in use. So that's how easy it is to recolor the design. And once we have it set up exactly the way we want it, we're just going to save it. It'll save it into my GraphicsFlow account. I'll put it in my back to school designs right here. Hit save. And then over here, I'm going to download a production ready file. If I'm going to create an e-commerce store, let's say with InkSoft or with another platform, depending on your platform, if you're creating an e-commerce platform or shop and your platform only accepts bitmap-based graphics, you're going to want to download the PNG file and it'll have the background knocked out. If your platform accepts PDF files or you're going to do further editing in Illustrator or Photoshop or Affinity Designer or Inkscape, you're going to want to download the PDF version of the file, which I'll do that right now. I'll just put that in my downloads folder. Cougars 12, we'll call it. And then if you're editing in CorelDRAW, you can just download the CDR file. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add this to an art approval. And I'm just going to go over here and call this Cougars Softball Fall Concept. I already have one in there. I see probably have another version of this design in there. So we'll just add that to that art approval, or we could create a new one. We'll hit Add Files. And then what we're going to do is go right back to art approvals and just bounce this over to the customer. And I can open up that design again and make a variation of it. So if I make a variation with different text or colors or copy, I can save a copy of that so we can make infinite variations of every design. So under art approvals here, we have an art approval for softball fall concept. We just added this right here, and here's a different color variation. I'm not sure which one I like better. We'll switch the background color here. I'm going to put a background color of kind of a light ash here. And now it's just a matter of sending this over to my customer for approval. And I could put a little note in here saying, hey, I've got 2 color variations. Let me know which one you like best. And so to share this with the customer, all I need to do is click on share. I can use the emailing system in GraphicsFlow, or I can just send a link out. And that link, I can govern the interactivity that the customer is going to have. So if I just want them to be able to view only, I can do that. So we could send this out to multiple people and they can't see each other's comments, or a commenting link where they can all comment back and forth and see each other's comments, or comment and approve. So if I copy the link out of here, I can paste that link into a text message or into a personalized email that I send from my system, or I can also send it through the GraphicsFlow system. So I'm just going to copy the link there. The customer gets the graphic. They can make a comment. Let's see, there's already a comment in here. Can we do this on Oxford? So I already went in and changed the color on that. And if a comment is made, I'm getting emailed, and I'm also being notified in the app, and so are they. And if they select the final one, and let's say the one they chose was not this one, and this is the one they chose, they can just click on approve and put any final comments in there and agree to terms. And the terms are basically saying you can't take this art to another vendor because you don't own the copyright, and that the colors are going to be different on the final product. And you can put whatever you want in terms. And I'm just going to click on approve artwork. And that's how easy it is. So I went from concept to selecting a design to editing the design, downloading a production ready file, all ready to go to my equipment or load into a e-commerce store, send it over to the customer for approval, and I'm done. So a single person without any experience in graphic design can produce graphics at a super high level using this technology. The next piece of technology we're going to talk about is e-commerce. And I want to talk about why e-commerce. Why is it important to have an e-commerce capability in today's marketplace? And actually what you see here on the right, this is from a real live store from one of our customers. And then she built out this graphic from GraphicsFlow, populated this into her e-commerce store. She's actually hosting this through InkSoft. And she's just making it really easy for her customer and their customers to purchase from her. And that's such an important aspect of today's marketplace. I think if you look at traditional, foot traffic to brick and mortar, you're seeing less foot traffic in your brick and mortar stores, and more people are choosing to shop online. And it's partly one of the reasons that you're seeing so many of the malls closing across the U.S. It's just easier and more convenient to shop online. And also with the pandemic, it required people to shop online in many cases. So they just got accustomed to doing it and they prefer it. So one of the important aspects of e-commerce is most buyers are starting their selection process for their product by researching or browsing online. So why not give them a shopping experience? If they're already starting online, give the shopping experience where they can just continue on through a checkout process, pay, and move on. And if you look at buyer habits from younger buyers specifically, they just like buying online. My 20-something-year-old daughters are very rarely going to go into a retail store. They just like to do everything online. It's just more convenient, and frankly, they're doing all their purchasing off their phone. They're not even using a computer to do their purchasing. Social media is driving product and vendor selection. So being able to link up to a social media post, boom, they go to a store, and you did a post about a fundraising program that you're helping to sponsor. They link to the store, they make their purchase, they move on. What a great way to do business. And frankly, if you don't give your customers hassle-free online experiences, they're going to go elsewhere. And I've lost track of how many times I've heard from a new client where they say, I realize I have to do e-commerce. I've lost too much business for customers that have said, hey, I need to set up a web store for our fundraiser. I need to set up a web store for our team, our employees, and I didn't have the ability to do that. I ended up losing that account. So we don't want to do that. We want to make it super easy for customers to purchase from us. Next, I'd like to talk about some of the advantages of selling online. So one of the primary advantages is you can quickly go to market with a new product or graphic. If, using the example I talked about before was state championship merchandise, it doesn't take very much time to create a graphic, launch a store, post it to social media, send out an e-blast, and go to market. Another thing too is being able to switch up products. In this store right here that my customer Allison built, if she's not seeing a lot of movement on a graphic, she can replace the graphic. She can just go in and replace the graphic and even go in and change colors on things. Collecting, valuable information on consumer habits and targeting specific buyers. You're collecting metrics as you're processing orders through e-commerce stores. So like what colors are moving, the buying habits of your customers. So you can actually target products for a customized store just to the needs of that buyer. And being able to reach a wider audience outside of your local market. One of the things that maybe I get a little bit preachy about is thinking outside of just what's local. You're a virtual business now. When you have e-commerce capability and online stores, you're a virtual business. You can do business anywhere in the U.S. And it was interesting. I was talking to a client of mine, and he's in Yellow Springs, and his Mark Heiss, he's in Yellow Springs, Ohio. And I said, do your customers even ask you where you're located? And he says, no. I'm just, to them, I'm just this virtual business. I exist everywhere. They do business with me because I've got great graphics. I'll host their store. I'm very efficient in getting their orders out, make it easy for them to buy, and they don't really care if I'm in Yellow Springs, Ohio or not. So underserved niche markets. There's all these markets that they just don't necessarily get a lot of attention. And if you look specifically like at the school and team and sports market, the big school sports are football, basketball, baseball, girls volleyball, softball, soccer, band. There's more kids involved in band at most high school level than any other sport or activity. But there's a whole nother world underneath that. And if you can imagine giving the same amount of attention to the students that are involved in drama club or orchestra or the badminton team, how cool is that? You can set up a store if you do like a revenue share model where they don't even have to pay for inventory in advance. You just run that store for 2 or 3 weeks, close the store, collate all the orders, drop ship to the customer so they can do all the, the badminton team can distribute to all the kids on the team and they take home all the merch to their parents. What a great way to do business. And you control the customer's buying experience and expedite the purchasing process. So customers do some very clever things. They'll print up a little postcard with a QR code that directs folks to the store. They'll send out an email blast with the link, a text message with the link. They'll post the link into their social media, Facebook or Instagram. So it's just a great way to promote merchandise and to sell more to your existing customers and also open up new customers. There's 2 general types of e-commerce experiences. And one type is a web page with an online order form. So one of our companies in the Inktavo family of companies from Printavo, which is our shop management solution, also has what's called Printavo Merch, which is a basic, very clean, simple solution for placing online orders. So think of it as like an online order form. Customer goes to that form, they can see the product, select quantities, sizes, and colors, and check out. Just make it super convenient for people to purchase from you, and also collecting payment up front, which is so critically important, getting paid up front. Also eliminating, the paper order forms and all the human error part of that, allowing people to purchase on their phone or their tablet, what's convenient to them. And they just go in and collect sizes, quantities, and colors, check out, and they're done. So online order form is a great way to get started in e-commerce. But then there's a whole nother level, which is a dedicated online store. And that's what the InkSoft platform does. InkSoft in our industry is the gold standard in industry-specific online shopping experiences. And we'll talk about what that means in a little bit when I kind of demo InkSoft, but we're creating a complete buying experience. There's a whole formatted web page that has customer testimonials. It has information about the promotion. It has a countdown timer for the fundraising program that we're running. It can basically function as a website that has an e-commerce built into it. And so, there's 2 basic ways to have an online store. One is what we call an evergreen store, where it's just there all the time and the customers are placing orders. Most folks, unless they're doing print on demand, are just producing over a period of time. So they'll, maybe produce the orders every 3 weeks, as they start to build up and they hit minimum order quantities. Or a temporary store. You run a store for a specific promotion, which I think is a great idea. You close the store, you collate all the orders, and if you want, you can pop the store back up for 2 weeks and say, hey, listen, we reopen the store for a second round. What a clever way to do business. But I think one of the most important aspects of an online store is freezing out the competition. And that's just smart business. If you control the customer through an online shopping experience, it'd be a much lower likelihood of you having to get, displaced by a competitor. And you think about like from a point of view of pricing, right? If I'm setting the retail price of this shirt right here at $20, I'm not getting beat up by the customer for the wholesale price, because what I've said is, hey, listen, we're going to set up this store. People are going to place orders. You're not going to have to stock anything. I'm going to fulfill the orders, collect all the money. And then when the store closes, I'm going to cut you a check for a percentage. And so you're not getting beat up over price because you're doing a revenue share. And frankly, most customers prefer that. And if you're dealing with schools, you still probably have to get approved as an official vendor, but you don't have to go through a PO process. You're collecting all the money. You're writing a check to them, not waiting, base it 3, 4, 5 months to get paid from the school. So what a smart and clever way to do business. And then also, integrating that online store with social media and email marketing. So they're always coming back to that store to see what's new. And you're switching out graphics, putting, seasonal products in there, even maybe a holiday promotion. And again, you notice collect payment up front. It's all about getting the money up front, not having to give credit terms to people, collecting the money, making it easy for people to buy. Here's some tips for creating a web store. These are just best practices that we've learned over the years. And when you create web stores, it is a bit of a trial and error. You try things, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but it's always kind of a good idea to avoid the things up front that don't work. So we're going to talk about some of the kind of do's and don'ts of creating a web store. Make sure you have a layout that's easy to navigate. It's got to be simple. It's got to be clean. It's got to be easy to navigate, not just on a browser on a computer, but also on a phone as well as a tablet. So it has to be mobile responsive. If I look at the statistics from 2 years ago, I don't have the newest statistics yet. 80% of the business that was run through InkSoft stores came through a mobile device. That means a tablet or a phone. So making a very clean, simple web page where customers can just go select product is a must. Consider grouping products and pages by category. For instance, wearables in one maybe line or group, and then maybe drinkware and maybe headwear as its own separate group, just kind of categorizing things together. Or you can do coordinates. So for instance, hat matches t-shirt matches hoodie. So, make it logical. Establish branding with consistent colors, fonts, and logos. Use the customer's logo. Use their if you want to use their corporate identity in their terms of their fonts and their color scheme. Very important. I think that goes without saying, but I've seen some stores that are they don't just line up with what the identity is for the customer, and frankly, it's kind of clashes. Just doesn't look great. Make sure your store is mobile friendly. We talked about that. Consider production processes and minimum order quantities. So when you're setting up a store, if you're purely a screen printer and you have to meet a minimum order quantity to set up and burn screens and produce, then you're going to have to work that out with the customer and leave the store up there for a longer period of time. But on the other hand, if you're doing something like embroidery or sublimation or vinyl graphics, you don't have to worry so much about setup and minimums. And, if the store, maybe it moves a whole lot on one product, but maybe not as much on the other, maybe one color moves more than the others, you're not put in a vulnerable position. And frankly, one of my favorite, processes, my two favorite processes for print on demand, where you're just producing as the orders come in for e-commerce stores, are going to be direct-to-garment printing, and then also DTF transfers or hybrid digital transfers. You can even go to the level of, working with your client and saying, hey, listen, we're going to take a deposit for 100 transfers. We're going to draw against those transfers as we produce orders for your store. And then once we get down to a minimum order quantity, we're going to reorder those transfers, but we're just going to prime the pump. And I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for a deposit to get the transfers made up front. Choose a fulfillment model based on your production capacity. So that's really going to be based on your processes. Some people are set up beautifully for bulk ordering. They're just going to run a store for a period of time, store times out, collate the order, ship. And then we have clients that their whole business is built around print on demand. They run the store, it's evergreen, it never goes away. They'll maybe do production once a week or every other week, typically not on a daily basis, but they'll, say, hey, we had 6 of this design and 12 of this design. We're going to produce those this week, and then we're going to wait another week or 2 weeks to do the next batch of production. Really smart. And then also consider outsourcing production to offer a broader product mix. And I use the example of a banner. It's not a challenging thing to get set up with a company that prints for the trade, like somebody like 4over. It's just number 4over.com. You have to have a trade account. You have to be in the industry to sign up with them. But they can literally print any kind of sign, banner, business card, trade show pop-up banner, and give you great margins. And you're not having to do any of the production. So why not add some of these peripheral products like a graduation sign to an e-commerce store? What you see in front of you right now is an e-commerce store I set up for Central Cougars, which is the same graphic that I produced using GraphicsFlow. So I produced a graphic with the intent of populating that graphic in this store. And so when you're in InkSoft and you're setting up a store for the first time, you're going to go through what's called the store creation wizard, and it's going to ask you a series of questions when you set up the store. So if I go to add store, it's going to interview me, store name, the logo, the color scheme, all of the things that I need to set up the store, and it's going to build out the store for me. And once the store is built out, it's going to have the logo and the color scheme, but it's up to me to add the different modules to the store. So if I go back to my store over here for the Central Cougars Booster Club, I'll just click on that store. What I've done is I've added quite a few different modules to the store, including a fundraising module. I added this banner over here. I've added a few products. And so let me show you kind of how you edit the basic store. So number one, if I go over here to Style Editor, these are all the components of the store. And so if I wanted to, let's say, for instance, get rid of this object right here, and I'll remove that component, and then I'm going to add a new component, a placeholder, and put a new product in there. I'm just going to go and add the featured product component, and I'm not going to load any data. I'm just going to start from scratch, and then I'm going to take this component and I'm going to move this component right below the little ticker here, hit done. So it's just waiting for a product to be added. I've got my ticker here if I want to hit edit, and I want to, reset the date. So manage the end date, and the end date for this store is now going to be June 30th. So I'll hit done. So now the countdown starts. Maybe I want to change the background color. I actually like the blue, but maybe I want to change the background color. Here I can do that. I can delete the ticker. I can change the photo. I can change this to a slideshow so it's rotating through different photos. Change the whole color scheme. So it's just super easy to set up stores. And I've helped customers create stores in every popular platform out there, including Shopify and Square and GoDaddy and Deco Network and all the different platforms. And I can tell you this, having used all these different platforms, I honestly believe that InkSoft is the easiest platform out there to just set up a store. It's just really super quick, easy, and your stores end up looking great. And in terms of adding product, this is where that industry-specific thing really starts to kick in with the store. And I'm just going to save these settings that I changed here, quick. And I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go to Store Admin. When you add products and you're in InkSoft, you have access to a massive database of product photography. And I can do a search for a product. I can add an existing product. I can create new. I can look through the entire Sanmar catalog with all their high resolution product photography, their product descriptions, their wholesale pricing, all the major suppliers, Alpha Broder, Augusta, all the major suppliers we have built into the live feed. So I don't have to go and grab an image from the Sanmar website, create a mock-up and upload it to my platform. It's just built in. So it's super easy to create a product. So if I go over here and say create new, and I want to, let's say, create that t-shirt, I would just click on the t-shirt. And then I'm going to upload the new version of the art that I just created. So I'm just going to go to upload. I'm going to go upload print file. I can also upload an embroidery file, and I can edit the colors and the stitches from a DST file in the app. So if I need to make stitch color changes, I can do that. But I'm going to upload a print file. I'm going to go to that downloads folder, and I think we called it Cougars 12. And in this case, I'm going to upload a PDF file in vector. And this can just as easily be an SVG file. If it's a PNG file and it's a bitmap, I still have some ability to edit the file. I can go in and knock the white background out. I can remove white in the graphic. But it's pretty awesome when I have a PDF file, because when I have a PDF file, it is editable as a vector. And here's what I mean by that. If I go into this graphic and I say view colorways, and let's add a different color here. Let's also add navy blue to the equation. So we'll have two colors. We'll have that gray, and then we'll have navy, and we have two colors. So the color scheme one looks great on, it looks great on ash, but it's not going to look good on navy. And so what we're going to do, so you can kind of see it doesn't look good. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a colorways. So I'm going to say view colorways, create new colorways, and I'm going to take the navy in the graphic, and let's see here. I'm going to make the navy red. So I'm going to select a new color. We're going to make the navy red. And then we are going to make, let's see, actually we just leave it right like that. I think it will look good. And we could add a third color. We could add a little bit of gray in there if we wanted to, but I think it looks good. And so we have two color schemes. So this is where this is really handy, is if you have 5 colors that have a light color scheme, and let's say you have another 5 colors that have a dark color scheme, guess what? I don't have to create I don't have to create all the imagery for those. I just create the 2 colorways, connect those to the colors in the design, and it'll automatically populate those colors on my store, because when we add this product, we'll have 2 colors in the drop-down list. So to create the product, I've set up my colorways. I'm going to say create. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to proceed to product details, and here's my colors right here. I've got the navy and the ash, and I'm going to price them both at $25, right, like that. And I can add a SKU for, upcharge for XX if I want to. I have complete latitude to change the product name, subscription. I can get rid of the word Gildan if I just want to have 100% cotton t-shirt, not necessarily Gildan ultra cotton. So I have some flexibility on the shirt. And then once I hit finish, this product has been added. And then all I need to do is connect this product to that placeholder in my store, and the product's available on my store. Super duper easy. So I'm just going to go back to Style Editor here and Manage Products. And I'm going to select that product. I've just added it for that placeholder. I'm going to hit done. And it's literally that easy. That's how simple it is. The only thing you got to remember to do is hit save and publish. So that's how easy it is to set up a store. And so some of the things that people don't necessarily realize about InkSoft, you also have a lot of other capabilities. So like another capability that's really handy is what we call the customer portal. So right now when I'm logged in as an admin. So I have access to all the functionality of InkSoft. But I'm going to go over here and I'm going to log out. And what we're going to do is log in as an end user. So I'm just going to log in like I was a customer. So I'm going to log out as an admin and log in with the customer account. So I'm going to do that. And when I log in as a customer, I have access to all my previous orders, any proposals, anything that I've got going in the platform. And so we're just making it super easy for that customer to reorder, to have some visibility on what they've done in the past. If you're talking to a busy HR manager, they probably don't want to call you for a reorder. They just want to be able to self-service. And so as an end user, if I go to my customer portal, I can go to my account. I can see any kind of quotes or invoices that I have out. So one of the powerful things that you can do in InkSoft is you can use it to create proposals where you send it out and then the customer can just approve and pay. So we'll look on details here. This is a proposal I set up a little bit earlier. It's got the look and feel and logos and contact information from the store because it's linked to the store. Here's all the product information and the graphic. They can just click on approve, put their signature in, and after that, they're prompted to pay. And they can pay via ACH or they can pay via credit card. And you can also set it up with PO terms or 50% down, or charge 50% today and automatically charge them the balance on a set date. So you have tons of flexibility in terms of getting paid. So this is kind of like that online order form for the customer, and they can download a PDF invoice. They have a lot of flexibility. So in their customer portal, one aspect of it is to be able to see any kind of proposals that they've got open, and also orders. So if they have an order and they're pending approval, they get a little nudge here that says, hey, listen, you haven't approved this. They're getting pesky little emails already reminding them at intervals that they haven't approved the order. But also, if they've already had an order that's been fulfilled and they want to print the receipt, or they want to see the order details, and maybe they just want to reorder, they can just click on reorder, put in the instructions for the reorder. The person that set up the original order is going to be notified. If that person's not available, because maybe they're not with the company anymore, then the general email is going to get notified. And you just made it super easy for the customer to reorder. And the other thing they have access to is they have access to all of their designs that they've created, like in the InkSoft Designer, because they can create designs in the Designer, any artwork they uploaded, so they have visibility on all their artwork. What a cool way to manage the business. And kind of a power user thing that people do is the customer can go into the InkSoft Designer and create a design and save it. But then they can go back to that design and re-edit it, so they can do like a name drop. So this design right here was created in the InkSoft Designer. If they want to change the color scheme here or change this to volleyball, they can do that in the Designer. And then they can resave this as a new design, and then they can check out. And it'll have the pricing from the original design. The pricing is being configured based on the pricing logic that you set up for their account. So you've already set up pricing logic for their account. And it'll do things like calculate the number of colors in the design. It'll deal with like underbasing for screen printing, so it knows to add a third color if you're pricing that out. Your embroidery pricing, it's all cooked into InkSoft. So in a nutshell, you're just making it super easy for customers to buy from you. We could spend hours in InkSoft. It's a very robust, powerful platform built for our industry, but it's also really simple. And once you kind of get the hang of it, it's very straightforward. But if you do need that extra power, like for instance, you need to manage a coupon program where you have an Excel file of coupon numbers, and each employee has their name and how much money they have in their coupon, you can upload that into InkSoft and the platform will manage all of that. You can even go in and recharge their coupon if you need to. So that's the basic crux of InkSoft, and you've got a really good broad overview of how that technology is going to assist you in growing your business. The next piece of technology we're going to talk about is shop management software. And in the Inktavo ecosystem, Printavo is the shop management solution. And shop management software is where people, they'll do their invoicing, they'll do all their purchasing, they will go in and do all of their production workflow, getting jobs scheduled to specific pieces of equipment, their task, all of their tasks, everything that's involved in getting a design uploaded, connected with an order, invoiced, and out the door, including shipping labels. So shop management software streamlines and automates processes. That's what it's all about. So including your order management, all your scheduling and production workflow, all the way down to the level of saying, hey, this machine produces X amount of capacity per day. I have 10 jobs, and so I'm going to put 4 over on this machine and 4 over on this machine. So all that production workflow. And so folks that are going in and processing a large volume of orders across complex production processes and multiple types of equipment, this is an absolute lifesaver. And I always kind of joke, the competitor to professional shop management software oftentimes is a whiteboard or an Excel spreadsheet, or maybe a non-industry specific project management software, something like Trello. So there's a big difference between those techniques and using a pro-level shop management software like Printavo. So one of the key advantages of shop management software is eliminating manual errors, taking all that human error out of the equation, reducing duplication of effort. So you don't have, 2 people doing the same job. Oh, I thought you did this already. No, I didn't do this. Or, hey, listen, why didn't the PO get placed why are we behind on this order? Well, I never placed the order with the supplier to get the blanks in. Being able to reduce all those kind of errors and ensure an efficient operation. Make sure everything's running smoothly. Enables better planning. You're able to plan, you're able to coordinate allocation of tasks and resources. So you've got your equipment scheduled so you have maximum efficiency and production capacity out of your embroidery machine, even your DTG, your heat press, your screen printing equipment. Ensures orders are completed on time, reduces delays, and enhances customer satisfaction. And you notice you see that theme of customer satisfaction coming back over and over again. Happy customers are repeat customers. And if you don't keep people happy, like I said before, they have a lot of options. Provides a scalable solution that can accommodate a company's growth. And I look at shop management software really as like having an extra employee or 2 or 3 employees. And it's always interesting to me when I talk to Printavo users, especially folks that have been using the platform for a while, and there's thousands of Printavo users in the US running their business off this platform. They generally all say the same thing. They can't imagine running their business without Printavo. It has just made such a big difference in terms of how they process work through their company. And also facilitates integration with other systems such as graphic system, e-commerce, and shipping providers. And let's not sell short the convenience of having integrated shipping into your workflow. That's a wonderful thing to have. And also e-commerce. There is that basic Printavo merch, so it was a basic e-commerce platform within Printavo. It's not anywhere near the sophistication of, say, an InkSoft, but it really is great having that simple web form where we can just post basically an online order form. Customer goes in, picks out product, checks out. It's awesome. So shop management software is something that you certainly grow into, but we certainly see customers that are trying to scale and grow, this becoming a very important part of their tech stack, so to speak. One of the foundational tools of any shop management software is going to be proposals or quotes. And in modern shop management software, this is done as an online web form versus a physical quote. And the days of chicken scratching onto notepads, I think most of us have moved on from that, or pumping data into an Excel spreadsheet. Having an online quote that you can share as a web page is a huge advantage. And so buyers are visual. They need to see the graphics on the product. So being able to connect the virtual sample and the mock-up with the quote is very important. We're making sure that they're selecting the right artwork, the right colorways for that graphic. Printavo is a very powerful mock-up creator to generate your mock-ups and really give that customer that visual. And good graphics sell products, boring graphics don't. And if you're putting together proposals for customers, this is where GraphicsFlow works so well with InkSoft and Printavo, is you get great looking artwork that's in your proposals and quotes, or great looking artwork that's in your e-commerce stores. Don't be a commodity broker. Anybody can put logos on stuff. I know I sound a little bit preachy when I talk about this topic, but from my experience, it kind of works like this. People that are sensitive about this topic, they know that they're on thin ice. If anybody's going to get sensitive about it, they know they're on thin ice. They know that they're literally one new buyer away from, a savvy young person coming in and saying, hey, listen, let's get a quote from somebody else and we can, save a quarter per product. So when you're putting logos on stuff, you truly are a commodity broker. And, I think I maybe had a customer that I maybe rubbed them the wrong way, but one of the things I said is, so you're operating more like a contract printer. So we're not a contract printer. Says, well, if you're just doing logo stuff, they don't need a print shop to do that. They can contract print that, and that's an area of sensitivity. And I certainly didn't mean to ruffle any feathers, but it's really true. If you're just putting logos on stuff, that can easily be accomplished by a contract printer, where they're drop shipping blanks into the printer, and the printer's just they're just paying them for the printing. So you want to be you want to try not to be a commodity broker, and we certainly want that business, but it shouldn't be the lion's share. It should be kind of the icing on the cake, not the cake itself. Carefully craft your product mix. Look for complementary products and upsell opportunities. I think it's so important. And if you're doing a hoodie and you can coordinate with a t-shirt or a hat or drinkware, that's an upsell opportunity. And putting new products into the mix that are seasonal, or you're seeing a trend in the marketplace that, if you were around when, this whole classification of, and now they call it hydration products, but, drinkware, the whole Yeti double steel wall insulated tumbler craze. Getting in early on that was, just something. Say, hey, let me add this tumbler. Why would I add a tumbler? It says, trust me, this is a big deal. And boom, now you got the tumbler business. And then, don't fire and forget. If you're going to send somebody a proposal or quote, make sure to have a follow-up strategy. And, if you just fire and forget, you're going to have to nudge customers. One of the things that I really admire about the system within Printavo is its reminder system is bulletproof. Email nudges. Once you set something to a status in Printavo, it is going to continually send out emails and text messages until you get response for the customer. And the text message to me is where the magic happens. People get a lot of emails. They don't necessarily have as much visibility on their emails, but they sure do on their text messages. And I just got one from my health insurance company about a prescription I'm having problems. And it's funny because I went in my email and it's been in there, my email and my personal email for like 3 days, but then I sent the text message that said, hey, check my email. And there it was. So condition your customers to pay in advance. So if you're connecting the ability to pay with your proposals or quotes, you're getting paid in advance. And, we understand that there's certain scenarios where you have to offer credit terms, but I think you start drawing a little bit, I guess you're not drawing a line in the sand. It's more about conditioning your customers to pay in advance and just saying, hey, listen, I can't be the bank anymore. I have to put out all this, all these funds on the blank merchandise that we're printing on. So I need to get paid, when the order is placed, or at least a deposit and then payment on delivery. Start to condition your customers to pay you in advance. And having an online proposal or quotation system like Printavo is just the ultimate way to get paid in advance. One of the things I talked about earlier was, scheduling tool. In the Printavo platform, there's a scheduling tool called Power Scheduler. And that allows us to load our equipment, the production capacity and production rates of our equipment, and assign jobs to that equipment based on estimates of how long it'll take to print. And so when you're using an online scheduling tool, there's definitely some best practices and things that you want to do. And I'm going to go through a few of them. Always assign a completion date immediately after approval. So as soon as the artwork gets approved, as soon as the order gets approved, quantities, pricing, all of that, let's immediately assign a completion date to that. And let's get that urgency established. Communicate turnaround time. 10 to 12 days is typical in most shops. Sometimes you have condensed turnaround time, but this also gives you the ability to pad your schedule. So, let's face it, sometimes you get a rush order that comes in that's a big, fat order, and you're like, hey, listen, this is a kind of a cool little opportunity. Let's squeeze this into the schedule. And if you have a little bit of padding built into your schedule because you're quoting a longer delivery cycle, you have the ability to do that. So use color codes for simple visual control. For instance, it's not approved, it's color coded to purple in your task list. And so when you look at your calendar and your schedule and all the open tasks and all the jobs, you can immediately see the job status in your calendar as purple, meaning, hey, it's not approved yet. It's just sitting there chilling out. Blue, approved, but needs garments or screens. Green, go for productions. Green means go, right? Red, direct to garment, outsourced, etc. So being able to set up color codes in Printavo is super easy, and I think that's a really smart way to manage the business. Prioritize hot proofs, garments next week system. If you have the ability to set up priorities within your scheduling system, that's really helpful, because let's face it, not all tasks, not all things that are going on in the business have the same level of priority and time sensitivity. So certainly, hot tells me, hey, this has really got to get some attention. We need to move this out the door. Make a daily habit. Write down action items with your closest fires first. So the things that, when you start your day, being able to look at your priorities, it's really helpful to write those down. And that's one of the great things about Printavo is you have instant visibility on what's truly important. Printavo tip, put due dates in the job's nickname field. So if you have a job, you can always attach a nickname to the job. Let's say, fall fundraiser, Central Booster Club, and then put due, October 1. So you have instant visibility on that in your schedule. I'm going to give you a tour of the Printavo platform. I'm logged into my Printavo account. Printavo is a web app, so it'll work on iPhone, Android, tablet, Mac, Windows, and there's also a mobile app, make it convenient for your employees. And so right now I'm on the calendar, and in the calendar I have different views. So I can view by day, I can view by week, month, I can do a range of dates that I want to look at. And so I can see all of the jobs that are in various stages of production. And you'll notice they're all color coded by their order status. So order ready for pickup, in production, non-term quote approved. So we've assigned all these color codes to all the different production statuses. And if I want to access the individual record for that particular design, I can just click on it and see a quick status update and click on the view button to actually go to that particular job right there. Now, when we're in quotes, quotes is a status that is before it becomes an approved order. So the quote is we're just getting the quantities, the artwork in front of the customer, they're looking at it. And so one of the things that's great about quotes is we can use that as a pipeline for sales opportunities. So if I have quotes that haven't converted yet to an actual real order, I can see that. I have instant visibility on those, and I can go back and assign my sales team to go and follow up. So these are quotes that are kind of just sitting there hanging out. We haven't finalized these or moved them into an invoice status, which becomes an order that works through a production process. So in order to create a quote, the easiest way to do it is you just start with a quote. So I'll just go over here and hit the little plus button, and we'll create a new quote. And I can enter my customer because it's a CRM that's built in. So I can go and put in a customer here, and I'll just select Adam because he's first in the list. And I can override all the existing data, but it's pulled up all of his data. And if there's a nickname for this job, and we'll just call this Central Boosters is the nickname for the job. Any specific notes, like Adam is kind of hard to get a hold of by email, so text messaging is preferred. We can do that. When I go to create the quote, I'm going to first select the imprint type. And this is something that we can select categories and create our own categories. So most folks are going to have like screen printing or heat press or embroidery, but you can set up your own categories and even a setup fee or shipping if you just want to build that out independently. So I'm going to select an actual product, not a fee, and it's going to be a product that's screen printed. And I can go in here if I choose to and select by product number the product. And so I just typed in Gildan 2000. I actually just typed in 2000 and Gildan came up, and I can go over here and select the Gildan, and I'm just going to check the ash color right here, and it's going to automatically populate the product description. And that, very importantly, that's linking to the product photography as well, is because when we go and create a mock-up of this, it's going to be connected to the product photography. Here's where I would go in and enter my quantities. We can have upcharges for things like XX. We have a lot of latitude in terms of that, but I'll just put in basic quantities in here and whether it's taxable or not. And then we're going to use that same price we did on the other order. I'm just going to put in $25 here, and we're going to enter that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about imprinting. So I'm going to just have a single line item. If I was going to add like a setup charge or something like that, this is where I'd go in here, but I'm just going to add the imprint. And again, this imprint is going to be a screen print, and I can connect it with the mock-up as well. And so I'm going to upload the graphics file right here, and this file is in a PNG format. So we're going to upload that graphics file real quick. And so this graphics file is now attached to this imprint and this set of quantities right here. And if I want to and create a mock-up, all I would need to do is go over here to the mock-up creator, and then we can create the mock-up. So we already have the imprint, and all I'd really need to do is just click on it and rescale it, get it all set up in here, and don't double click or you'll get two of them. And so we've got that all set up. I can go to the color eraser if I want to take a color out of the graphic. Let's say we wanted to have substrate color come through here. We could certainly do that. That's kind of a neat little feature. And then once I get this all set up, I'm going to save the mock-up. And so now the mock-up is saved with the actual job. And then we can go back to the quote. And then at this point, it's just a matter of sending the quote out to the customer. Once the quote's completed, I'm just going to click on Save and Finish. Then I can go over here to Messages. And then we can select a template for the message. So we're going to have Adam's email. I can override that email. I can select a template. So I'm going to select a quote approval template or an art approval template. I can customize this. It'll automatically populate Adam's name in here. I can add a PDF art approval if I want to, although it's already built into this page. And then I can just send this out directly to Adam. Now, once we have this set out and we send it, it's in the quote phase, but this is where I can go and change it to approval sent. And I can set up all kinds of different automations. And you'll notice all of these tasks here are color-coded. One of the advantages of color-coding these is if you color-code these tasks, you can have visibility for just a specific team or person. So maybe all the art department-based tasks that they're responsible for are right here color-coded in these orange areas right in here. So there's lots of ways to categorize the data in terms of the color coding, and this is also going to give us additional visibility on tasks as well as the calendar. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the Printavo platform is it doesn't force you to conform with the workflow. What do I mean by that? Most businesses have a way in a production workflow of how they like to do things. And instead of us saying, hey, listen, you got to do it this way, you set up the workflow how you like to do it. You put in all of your tasks. You set up automations to send out messaging automatically when you send out a quote, to automatically trigger reminder emails or text message. So you can modify the workflow for your production exactly the way you want it, and you're not having to conform to the way we think you should do it. So there's just so much built-in flexibility into the Printavo platform. So once a quote's been approved and we move it into an invoice status, this is where it really becomes an order and it starts processing through the system. And so I can go into my invoices. I can see, uncollected invoices that are out there. I have instant visibility on all of my receivables. All the orders are color coded by their current status. I can see a stamp here that this has been paid. I can see that this this job right here is a delivery scheduled. So I have instant visibility on everything that's in my system. And then I also have the ability to filter that data by maybe just a singular status or a couple different statuses. So instant visibility is a huge advantage, and that also ensures that you're not having things get lost in the shuffle. You've got all of your customers in the integrated CRM, any kind of purchase orders. Here's purchase order history. I can click on a link to see the specifics on the purchase order and the status of that current purchase order. And there's a built-in messaging system, which is great because if somebody dropped the ball on something, it's really easy to kind of identify where the ball got dropped there. And then all the tasks. And so here's all of the tasks, which again, you can also filter by status. And also you see basic data and who that task is assigned to. And if I want to reassign a task to somebody else, I can just do it from right here. The last thing I want to touch on is Power Scheduler, and I'm actually logged into a client's account with their permission, and you can see exactly what's going on in their account. And I just went to Power Schedule, and I can see by production process what's going on in their business. And right now I just have it scheduled for June 1st to June 29th. So this is everything that's going on in June. And so I can go in here and get visibility on, in their case, their direct-to-film business, their embroidery business, and their screen printing business. I can allocate production time to each piece of equipment. I can split jobs into multiple jobs. I can easily reschedule. It's just an absolutely amazing way to manage all of your production equipment. And you'll notice the equipment is named, so they now have a manual press, but if they add an auto, they'll add the auto to their repertoire, and then they could schedule specific jobs to the manual where it makes sense, and other bigger jobs to the automatic. So it gives each one of the Printavo users a tremendous amount of flexibility for optimizing the way their production works, making sure that their equipment is utilized to its full potential and that we're getting the jobs out the door in an efficient manner. In summary, Printavo is a very powerful tool for running your shop, but it's also very intuitive. And one of the greatest aspects of the technology is all of the visibility that it gives you on what's happening in your shop, as well as the communication being streamlined between production, art, sales, all the folks that are involved in your business. The last piece of technology I want to talk about is getting visibility in local Google search results. So if customers can't find you, they can't buy from you. And one of the most important pieces of free advertising that you can get in your business is having people find you through a Google search. Now, it becomes a little bit of a challenge when you are not a brick and mortar business, when you don't have a physical location or you're working out of your home, because in order to have a Google business listing connected to a map, you do need to have a physical location on your business, and some people aren't comfortable sharing their home as their physical location on your business. But if you look at this Google search result right here, I searched for screen printers in Medford, Wisconsin. The reason I did that is I wanted to see where my cousin came in, and my cousin's business, Amy and Lori, is In Stitches and Ink LLC, and they've been in business for quite a long time, over 20 years. I noticed they only had 4 5-star reviews. 5-star reviews are great, but look at their nearest competitor has a 4.6 rating, but they have 7 reviews. So there's some things going on in the algorithm that switched this around. And it was interesting when I taught the live class, I did a quick search for this, and Lori and Amy had actually moved up to #1 because they got some more reviews, and maybe they'd done some more active things in terms of their Google search. But if you have a business, Google will find you if it's a brick and mortar business, and will create a default Google business profile listing, at least through Google Maps. It's important to claim that listing. If you click on the link, you can claim that listing. There's a verification process that you have to go to, but you can claim that listing. And once you claim the listing, you can you can add additional information to it. And that's where you start to get better SEO. And so when we look at building, SEO for a Google search, there is an acronym EEAT, EAT, which stands for experience, expertise, authoritative, trustworthiness. And one of the best things that you can get is reviews. And, tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your customers, please go on our Google and give us a written review, not just a star, a written review about what you like doing business with us. And my favorite number is 5. So give us 5 stars, not 4.5. Not 4, 5-star reviews. That's one of the smartest things that you can do. And I think that's why my cousin moved up the local Google search. She had some more reviews come through. So, you can set up a QR code with a giveaway at your checkout in your brick and mortar, where they just scan it and it's goes right straight to your Google business profile. They can review you. So getting those local reviews is so critically important. Also, things that you don't think of, like employee bios. Google's algorithm gives preferential treatment to employee bios, customer photos. You can load all of those things once you claim your local, your Google business profile. Expertise, local service pages. If you're in the screen printing business, maybe you have a page on there that talks about, or a blog post that you create on your website that talks about things to consider when you're choosing a apparel decorator, screen printing supplier. Links to other complementary businesses on a service page. Here's where you go to get your screen printing and embroidery. You come to us, but if you need dry cleaning, you go to this person. And all of those things count in the algorithm. And obviously, if you're in a smaller community or rural community, you don't have to work as hard to get near the top of the listing. But let me tell you, if you're in a big urban environment, you got to work hard. And so, there's obviously third parties that people pay to do this, but frankly, you can do a lot of this work yourself and move up the search results. Authoritativeness, tough word to say, right? Citations, if you have an accommodation from the Chamber of Commerce, if you have just got a new certification through a business licensing program for your industry, maybe you're with PPAI or ASI and you just got some form of certification. Community involvement. You went to a ribbon cutting ceremony and you have a picture and a little bio about congratulations to the new business that's starting up. So anything that you can do to establish your level of authority in your business is going to help with the algorithm. And also trustworthiness, third-party business reviews. That is a huge, big deal. So business to business reviews. So being able to get the data populated in your Google business profile to move you up the algorithm, and it takes a little while. So if you were to go in and pound out, 5 new 5-star reviews from all your customers, friends, and family that you nudge to do this, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen pretty quick. You can check in next week and you'll see yourself move up the ladder. So That's a important part of your technology stack, is utilizing local Google results through your Google Business Profile listing. And the best part of that part of your technology stack is it's free. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. If you'd like more information on Inktavo products, including GraphicsFlow, InkSoft, or Printavo, just go to inktavo.com and there's links to all three of our brands. And also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channels. We're very prolific in terms of producing useful content, and subscribe to the channel and you'll be the first to find out when we have a new video that can help benefit your business. So again, thanks for coming and hanging out with me today.